don't have long to write this. I stole a phone from one of the desks. If I'm caught, it doesn't matter. I have to get this out so that no one else ends up here. Please don't think this is a big joke. I need you to believe me. As I drove through the gates to the BABY Corporation Clinic, as they referred to it online, I swallowed the nerves and doubt I had and pushed my spirits onward. This was going to be wonderful. I lugged my suitcase from the car to the tinted glass doors, which, looking back, weren't shiny and bright, but were dull and kind of dirty. A buzzing noise broke out for a moment, and the doors swung inwards. I made my way into an empty reception area, and the doors closed behind me with an audible snick. There were no flowers in the reception, no luxurious pictures or fittings, and certainly no bright, smiling, perfect people. In fact, at first I thought there was no one. The room felt dead and lifeless. I couldn't understand. Had I come to the wrong place? And whose voice had beckoned me in over the intercom at the gate? Miss Holman. I practically hit the ceiling, which, considering my size and the state of my knees, was impressive. I spun around to locate the source of the sickly sweet voice that has called my name. She sat in a dank corner of the room behind the reception desk, half hidden in the shadow. I am so pleased you could make it, Miss Holman. We've been expecting you. As she spoke, her voice, like that of Mary Poppins with a meth addiction, ran greasy fingers down my spine. I did not feel comfortable at all. Yes, I'm Miss Holman, I replied, forcing myself to step closer to the counter. I'm so glad I could come. I willed myself to calm down and stop stuttering like a ninny. I'm just grateful BABY were kind enough to offer me a place on the course. Oh, but how could we not? She trilled, starting to move around in the murky half-light. When we saw your application and evaluation with all of your special qualities, we simply had to have you. I swallowed the bile that had risen in my throat. Thank you. Gods, woman, get a grip on yourself. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to be a better me. I knew I sounded as apprehensive as I felt. I know I need to pay you the rest of the... My words died in my throat as she stood up, and her whole self became clear. Scaly skin hung like old parchment from her sharply defined face, tinged with a greenish blue that made her look dead. Her eyes, red-rimmed and raw, were sunken into their sockets. Her hair was patchy, with wisps clinging to her scalp like shipwreck survivors. There wasn't an ounce of fat on her anywhere. Her cracked lips, far too red for lips so thin and dry, had stretched themselves into a grotesque smile. You know, I don't think we're going to need the rest of your payment. Now you're here, I think we have everything we need. Don't we, boys? Before I could turn my head, wiry fingers had wrapped themselves around my vast upper arms. 2 men had come silently from behind me, and now held me fast. What are you doing? I shrieked, terror lending strength to my voice. It did me no favors. Why, helping you to be a better you, silly, she tittered. The men on either side of me, so similar in appearance to her that they could have been triplets, laughed along with her. Your application gave us a good idea of the kind of person you are. Grossly overweight, full of... Here she shivered with some sort of ghastly delight. Fat, with so much meat on your bones, you can hardly manage a flight of stairs. And then your psychological evaluation. Simply perfect. Perfect? How? I gasped, trying so hard not to cry, to stay calm and collected. Well, you made it clear that you don't value yourself, she said, moving around me as though she were inspecting a prized heifer. I suppose she was in a way. So we knew that very few others value you either. No one is going to worry when you don't come back in 2 weeks, are they? I knew what she said was true. And yet, you're so maternal and sensitive. You care about other people. Deeply. Even when they don't care about you. The saccharine tone was fading from her voice, I realized. It was becoming deeper, harsher, more ragged. You care about people's feelings, their well-being. We knew that when you came here, spent some time with us, you'd care about us too. I tried to twist from the iron-fingered hands gripping me, but they just tightened and held me harder. I don't know what you want. Why should I care about you? What do you want with me? Well, dear, you're going to help us, she said. You're going to help us make someone very special into their best self. She glanced at the 2 men holding me hostage. They seemed to exchange an idea between themselves without saying a word, and suddenly I was lifted nearly a foot off of the ground. Somehow, the walking cadavers were able to lift my entire bulk, even though they looked brittle and no stronger than burnt twigs. I screamed for them to let me go, to put me down and let me leave. They could keep the money. I'd even give them the rest of it if they would just let me out of this wretched place. Nothing I said made any difference. They took me to the cell I'm in now. Its fetid air makes me feel sick, and the gloomy half-light hurts my eyes. I'm taken out whenever they need to treat me, as they call it. But I'm alone the rest of the time, except when they feed me, of course. The treatments leave me weak and starving, and they bring me heaped plates of food. At least I think it's food. It doesn't smell of anything, and it doesn't have much taste, but there's a lot of it, and it fills the hole. I'm going to try to hide this phone, and if no one finds it, I'll be able to get more out to you all. I was able to see what you all wrote. I know it's my own fault for being this way, and I know I should have never tried to take the easy way out. Drugs would have been an easy way out too, though. I just hope no one else ends up here. I couldn't bear to think of someone else being drained the way I am.